pleasure.
You are up, Commissioner.
All right, Bannock County Commissioners are now in session.
That's what I'm here for.
Do not have any indigent business, so Vern, you're up.
Thank you. I'm Vern Bowden. This is Brad Gambles.
Brad, you can come up too, and I mean, when you get up to the mic, go ahead and introduce yourselves, please.
I've got some folders for you, gentlemen. Thank you for giving us some time to visit with you. I'm Vern Bowden. This is Brad Gambles, and we represent the water board down in Swan Lake, the culinary water company there. And I've got a few things there to show you, to give you a kind of a feel before we get into the whole reason we're here. Show you kind of where we've come in the last 4 years. With the unfortunate death of Kim Thomas down there, who had been running the water company there for many, many years, we ended up with this responsibility. So that first page, you can see how our system looked in 2021. We were in a world of hurt. And I moved into Swan Lake in 2018, so I was the newcomer. And because of that, I found myself militarily volunteered to kind of oversee things after Kim died. And we didn't know at that point in time, I don't think even the folks that had been there all the years really had an idea of where we were, but it was bad. We were been put together in 1947 with springs, and then in 1953 they drilled a well. In 1980, in the 80s, they had one upgrade where they put in a new main line in town. In the 80s, they were also gifted a second well that was drilled by farmers for irrigation. Didn't find enough water there to irrigate, so they gave it to the city. But it remained unused until last year. So it was undone. We served 15 connections. We're very small. Our operating budget in 2021 was $2,700 a year. That was based on a $180 assessment per connection for the 15 connections. We found ourselves with broken down infrastructure. We had one functioning well. We had no water rights. We had no deeded rights of way for any of our system, any place. And we had...
Sorry for laughing at that, but that's amazing.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I thought. And we had unsafe water. That came to the forefront when we bought our home and had the water tested. And it was bad. And our realtor was trying to find information out and was running into roadblocks there because our system wasn't regulated. We were just there, and we were just barely hanging on. And so we put a water treatment system in our basement so that we would have safe water at the home that we purchased there. And then we went on. Okay, so after I was volunteered to take this on, I was handed an account that had $279 in it, and was money I couldn't even access at that point in time, and basically said, let's pay the bills and so on and so forth. But I started meeting with lawyers and accountants and engineers and found out I came to realize pretty quick what kind of a hole we were in. And it was scary. And it was just being talked about at that time that the store was going to be bought and remodeled. She's going to have a kitchen in there and be serving people, and that's going to bring health department visits and so forth. Everything was pointing that we're not legally operating like we should. So this last summer, we, after 3 or 4 years of working on our system and getting it up to snuff, we approached the DEQ, and we are now a regulated water system. So the second sheet there shows you where we are today with our system. You can make some comparisons there. That nice red building to that broken down shack, that's our water reservoir. So we have two functioning wells, a pump house. We have a covered 30,000 gallon cement water reservoir and about a mile of main line. Before I go any further, how much time have we got? I don't want to.
We'll give you a few more. Go ahead.
All right. So on that first sheet of the information there, I've got our public water system number. We've got 3 board members. We're organized as a nonprofit utility company. We're owned and operated by our 15 shareholders. Swan Lake Culinary Water Company is owned by the 15 shares. We serve 29 full-time individuals, big town, and then the store customers that come and go each day. So we have 14 family homes. We have 1 small store. We are operating now on a budget of $12,300 a year. That breaks down, you'll see up there in the middle of the page, to about $820 or about $70 a month per connection. We just raised those rates in February. Our hope at that point in time was that we could start putting away some money for the future. And we were able to put away $1,500 last year. We thought we were doing good. So our water rights are applied for. That next page there is a copy of our water rights application. It's all done. We have deeded rights of way recorded with the county, and we have clean, safe water. And I have copies of those tests as we get into this discussion if you'd like to see them. But everything is looking good right now. Okay, on the third page, this was the budget that we set up in February at our annual meeting. With an income of $12,300, we budgeted for $800 of power, $1,600 water testing. Now, we had been told that the first year with the DEQ, first year of regulation, would be expensive for our water tests. We were completely out of the ballpark in what we were projecting there with the information that people were giving us. So we put $1,600 into the budget. We have our Idaho Rural Water dues of $150, our directors and officers liability of $800, training. We had a young man that was working with us as a licensed operator, but he just this last couple of weeks has had some challenges come and can't do it anymore. So maintenance and repairs, $6,000. And then we were hoping to set aside for the future $2,500. So today in our checking account, we have $5,647.52, and we have $1,500 in a CD that we put away at the end of last year. So far this year, our first quarter, we have spent $5,795 on testing. And that's going to go on for a year. That's the first quarter. So with an anticipated $15,390 in quarterly testing and $630 in monthly testing over the next 9 months, so the next 3 quarters. So we total expected sampling budget through next June is going to cost us $16,020. That's what we anticipate. We've already found out that surprises come up. There's tests that we don't know about yet. So that's what we've got. So our current liabilities that we owe right now, we owe a power bill of $69. We have our DEQ dues of $100, which we didn't know about. We have our September testing bill we've got to pay for the month, $175. That includes $105 in a resampling cost. We were surprised by a spider living inside a faucet. And so we had a positive bacteria test and had to retest, but our everything is good in our groundwater. We have insurance coming up of $800, and so we expect at the end of September to have a balance of about $4,500 in our checking account. Now, our anticipated liabilities through February of next year, that's when our annual meeting is and when our assessments are due, that we will have funds again. As we anticipate power, another 390 monthly testing to cost us $420, and operator fees, as we're working to try to get another operator, of about $1,000. Now, that would give us, at the end of February, $2,693.52, but most likely it's going to be less because we're going to have to pay somebody to come in as a licensed operator now, so we don't know where that'll be. Okay, so we have visited with the DEQ, the Idaho Rural Water people, SICOG, and these folks have suggested that we come to visit with you. What we have found out is that there are grants that we can apply for when it comes to improving our infrastructure or upgrades or these kind of things. So we can get, but this sampling thing, everybody just kind of looks at us and goes, oh, there isn't anything. There's no assistance available for sampling. And I guess that is, there probably aren't a lot of new water systems that come on and deal with this expenses. So our first year total sampling is going to cost over $23,000 just for sampling. That's $840 a year for the monthly sampling and $20,520 for the quarterly sampling, plus the surprises that we've come up with. So we've paid our first quarter. It pretty much took care of that $6,000 that we had anticipated. But we don't have, right now, we don't have the resources to pay for the second quarter, which is coming up in October, November. And so without doing that, we're kind of sunk before we sail. So we hope to be able to cover the third quarter because February we have more funding from our assessments, but then we'll be in the same position in the fourth quarter of not having any funding. So our second and our fourth quarter right now, we're without the ability to pay as we anticipate things right now. So we are hoping to get some assistance with our second quarter and our fourth quarter. So that would be, we anticipate the same on that next page is what our first invoice was for the quarter, $5,130. So a total of $10,230 to cover those first two quarters, or the second and the fourth quarter.
Comments?
He pretty much said it all. I mean, that's just where we're at, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Thank goodness for Vern. I mean, he's really helped us out a bunch.
So unlike I talked to you on the phone, we have other independent districts that have come up short on funds and have come before us and asked us for funds. I don't know where we would come up with the funds. Honestly, this is an emergency, in my opinion. Drinking water is very vital. I mean, Ingham had their wells go down, and you go, hours without water, and it's very vital. I don't have an answer for you right now.
Okay.
I don't know what resources are available. Gentlemen, anything?
I agree. I'm willing to see if we can find something to help you with, but I don't know where we would go either.
What was your name again?
Vern.
Vern, and you are?
Brad.
Brad, okay. I'm looking at this invoice you have here. What is it? Something EnviroKill.
They're the folks that do the testing here in town.
So no, you just recently, it sounds like, started doing any testing at all.
We had started testing prior to this.
When did you start?
we started back in July of last year doing our own testing. Now, we weren't doing the monthly testing, but we weren't doing these tests. We were just testing bacterial tests, so total coliform and E. coli.
Okay.
And all of those tests that we did from July up until we opened the door with the DEQ looked good.
I'm sorry?
All of those tests looked good that we had been doing prior to we went to the DEQ.
Right.
But we were just testing bacterial. These quarterly tests are all kinds of things.
And are you required to do all these extra tests now?
We are. The first year any water system comes on is required to do this whole gamut of testing,
Required by who?
the DEQ.
Okay. So how did you get under the DEQ? Because it sounds like you've gone for decades with nobody telling you to do anything. And now explain that to me again?
Okay, there are requirements for a public water system that if you have a certain number of connections and you serve a certain number of people, you should fall under the umbrella of the DEQ as a regulated water system. Now, you can see from those first pictures, there was nobody watching over us.
Right,
And our water was bad.
right.
It was really bad. And so when I started visiting with, as I took this over just to pay the bills, I started visiting with people and found out that we should have qualified, we should have been a public water system over all of these years, but we'd flown under the radar. But, so first of all, the red flag that I saw is we were illegal. What happens if we have someone in our city get sick
Right.
from our water? Secondly, we have a store coming on that's going to have the health department checking their little eatery there. What happens? The health department comes in, finds the water bad, and we're left with our pants down.
Okay.
So we approached the DEQ,
Yeah.
apologized to them for all of the years that we had apparently been illegal, and asked to
Okay.
make it right.
Gotcha. All right, at the moment, I don't have anything to add to this. I do have more questions for you, but I don't want to really belabor this meeting, really to educate myself on some things that these guys probably already know. So I'm going to get a hold of you
Okay.
after this meeting, and then I want to have some further discussion, just for me to better understand your situation. But I
Well,
don't have anything to add at this point. with
In that packet, there is a letter to the three of you,
I saw it.
and it has my phone number, it has Brad's phone number, and it has our secretary's phone number on it. And we would very well welcome the opportunity to visit further and hopefully get some help here. Because like I said, if we aren't able to do this testing for the second quarter, then we are sunk before we sail.
Okay.
Well, we'll see what we can do. No promises, but we'll see what we can do.
And
Yeah.
the DEQ, have you approached them for grants or?
Yes, yeah, the DEQ, the Idaho Rural Water people, the SICOG, we've talked to all of those. Yes, there is nothing available for sampling.
Come on up, Wes.
Good morning, Wes Jones, Bannock County Office of Emergency Management. One of the things that may be an option is the Office of Emergency Management, Homeland Security has hazard mitigation grants. Those are funds that are provided by the federal government through the state to help support the counties and the cities in the operation of the infrastructure to protect the communities at large. Those grants are normally a 75% match, in which they pay 75% and the impacted party pays 25%. The problem with that is it takes a long time to get registered in there to do that. So for the immediate fix right now, I don't know if there's anything in there that can be done, but I'll reach out to you guys, or you guys contact me, and let me see if we can't get something going through the Office of Emergency Management, because that's what they're set up for, to protect the communities at large, the infrastructure and those sort of things.
Okay.
So working with SCOG, they take a look at the federal grants that are immediately available. But with Homeland Security grants, it's tailored more towards emergency applications across the board. I also know that Bingham County and Blackfoot had a similar issue when they installed and went with their water treatment plant 10, 12 years ago. And so they may have some information and guidance to say, hey, this worked for us, maybe you can go here or whatever. So it's just a matter of brainstorming and thinking out of the box.
Okay, very
So I'll
good.
have Christie send a copy of this letter to Wes, and
Okay.
you guys can have some communication also.
Okay, awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank
Bet.
you.
Well, thank you for coming and
Thank you for your time.
making us aware of what's going on there. Thank you.
Swan Lake has good water now.
I drank it my whole life. Maybe that's my problem.
I wasn't gonna
I was gonna say.
I saw it on your face. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Emma, are you representing Julie?
Good morning, Commissioners. Emma Iannacone, Public Information Officer. I'm here representing Julie Hancock, the Elections Manager for Bannock County on National Voter Registration Day. Before you is an ad agreement with Showban News to do a print ad in their paper on Thursday this week, encouraging folks to check their voter registration, get registered to vote in order to have a quick experience at the polls in November.
Okay. And this is the same one that we talked about in the past.
Yes, yeah. We did digital ads with them, and this is a single print ad in line with voter registration week.
Questions?
That's what we're doing all over the place. so.
Okay.
Motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the Showban News advertisement as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
All right, thank you. Hal?
Good morning, Commissioner. Hal Jensen, Planning Director with Bannock County. We have two vacancies. Actually, we have three vacancies in our Planning and Development Council. We have a meeting this week. I stopped 2 weeks ago. Commissioner Moser, you were gone. We'd had previous conversation about from the pool that we had
Interviewed in the past.
interviewed. And so you weren't here. Commissioner Crowder was gone. Commissioner Huff happened to be here. I made a passing comment, and we made a couple of recommendations from where we were, Tristan and myself, and we have them before you. Hopefully, one of the council members has requested another term, Ed Ulrich, so I believe that is on the schedule for tomorrow. If Ed is sworn in tomorrow, that still constitutes a quorum for us. But we would like, we have some major issues coming up on the next month's agenda through the end of the year, and we really need these people in place and have the opportunity to get them trained.
Okay. And we had talked, and these are individuals that we interviewed first time around, and
So that you know, these are two people that both come with no experience, which at some point we like from our standpoint because it gives us a chance to teach people how the process works. We both felt that these are people that come to us with fairly neutral. We've learned some hard lessons in the past with people. Anyway, we've been able to understand at times people that may have an agenda or may have a bias one way or the other, and we're looking for those people that will learn and know the ordinance and deliberate accordingly so that we get good decisions from the council relative to the items that are heard in a public hearing.
okay. Questions, comments? Do you want to go into executive session?
I wouldn't mind for just a minute. One of them I don't remember very well, so I wouldn't mind just chatting for just a second about that, if that's okay.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we enter into executive session under Idaho Code 74-2061 to consider personnel matters.